Hi guys, in today's video I'm going to be doing some food prep with you. If you have followed me for a while, you will know that I do not do meal prepping, I do food prepping. So that's when I prep the food ready to be able to pull out the fridge and turn it into a meal. I'm not going to waste any time, let's get straight into food prep.
Starting my food prep with carrots. It's something that we eat a lot in our family, whether it's pre-cut and put into a stew or a curry, or I just have them fresh in the fridge ready to go. So what I like to do is get enough carrots to fit my glass jar, and I peel them, cut the ends off, and then I put them into long strips so they're easily accessible if the kids are going to have them as part of their morning tea snack, or when it comes to dinner time they're already pre-cut and I can just put them straight into the pot to cook. With the leftover parts of the carrots, I do keep them and I use them to make a veggie stock, so they go into a plastic bag into the freezer and I make a veggie stock. I do have a YouTube video which I will link down below on how I made my veggie stock, but what I do is I put all of my carrots into a jar. I've got a glass jar I'm using here, but any sort of container would do, and then what I do with it to maximize the carrots not going dry, because this can last me up to 2 weeks in the fridge like this, is I fill the jar up with carrots, and then in all those gaps I fill up with water to the top of the carrots and then put a lid on it, and I can get about 2 weeks out of these carrots and they stay fresh. I just make sure I change the water probably every 3 to 4 days to keep the water fresh, and these carrots are a massive game changer for my food prep. And then any leftover carrots I put into a container into the fridge, and they're just handy to have as a backup, and if I need more I can do more prep.
Hey.
And next is broccoli. I find it really strange how people cut the ends of the broccoli and put it in the bin. You've paid for it and it tastes fine. It just tastes like broccoli. So we maximize our broccoli as much as we can. I keep every part of it, cut it up. With the bottom part of the broccoli, you could thinly slice it, put it into like julienne strands, which are like matchsticks types, and put them through a stir fry. There's a range of different things you can do, but don't throw it out. You have paid for this, and we eat it in our house. Now it might seem strange to do the same thing with tomatoes. We have cherry tomatoes in our house. My kids like them. I put them into a container. If I leave it in the plastic bag or the plastic punnet it comes in, I forget about it. So I always put them into containers. Same with grapes. Once they've been given a good wash to get any pesticides off of them, I like to put them into a container. One, this helps keep grapes fresher for longer. 2, I don't take them off the stems. That helps keep them fresh. And 3, if they're in a plastic bag, I forget about them in the fridge. They're in a container, I see them, it's a visual thing, I remember them, and we tend to eat more of them in the house. Now the next thing I'm moving on to is pumpkin. This is the only sort of carb that I sort of prep. I don't do this with sweet potato and I don't do this with potatoes. I just do it with pumpkin. Probably more so too because it's in winter now, and I'm definitely going to use pumpkin in either a weekly roast or make some pumpkin soup. So all I do is I cut the pumpkins up, I cut the seeds off, I keep the skins on them. Sometimes I roast with the skins on, and if I'm making a pumpkin soup, it's very quick just to remove the skins, but it's done. There have been so many times I have taken a whole pumpkin out the fridge and it's gone off and I've just wasted money. Next one here is the same with berries. Now my son loves raspberries and blackberries. The only thing I do different with this one here when I put them into a container is I line it with a little bit of paper, like a paper towel beforehand, just to help keep any moisture out and stop the berries going off. These berries are not cheap, and I find this makes it a much more cost-effective way. The other one I do for paper toweling is when it comes to spinach. I find spinach can wilt and any moisture on it, they become very soggy. So again, I just line a container, this one is plastic, with paper towel and put the lid on top, and I find it keeps it fresher for longer. I normally buy corn on the cobs whole. These ones were cheaper, and again, I put it into a container. It sounds silly, but it just makes me want to use it because it's not in plastic, it's visual, and I can see it in the fridge. Now, I use capsicum quite a bit with our cooking, and one thing I find with capsicum, if I prep it and put it into a container, it will last longer. If I cut a capsicum and put half it back in the fridge, I just don't use the other half. The only thing I have found when I'm prepping capsicum is I like to lay the skin side down. If I lay it like the inside flesh down, I find it can get a little bit slimy if I don't use it in the right time frame. I have tried using paper towels. I haven't noticed much of a difference, but with any capsicum I cut, I always make sure the skin is facing down so the moisture is staying in the capsicum, if that makes any sense. The next one for me is watermelon. I find it really hard to get through a quarter of a watermelon, which is the smallest I can purchase. I just find it can go off really quickly. If I leave it in the fridge and don't cut it, it just gets like really juicy and soggy. So I just find now the best thing to do is cut it up, cut it into bite-sized pieces. I take all the skins off. It fits in the container a bit more easier that way. If we're going out for morning tea and we're on the road, I can just grab a few pieces and put them in the kids' lunch boxes. And I just encourage the kids to have a couple of pieces with their morning tea, or sometimes even dessert with a little bit of berries. But I do find cutting it all up and putting it in a container, again, it's a visual thing. I can see it, I grab it, there's no prep done, and morning tea is a very simple thing to do when you're grabbing a few bits of fruit out and there's no prep required. 'Cause I don't keep, 'cause I don't keep, 'cause I don't keep, 'cause I don't keep. And lastly, this is going to seem really strange, but we purchase margarine butter spreads in bulk, so it works out to be a bit cheaper. But I just have this thing about people dipping multiple knives into a large tub, and then you just get the toast crumbs in there, and I just don't like it. So I actually portioned it out into a little container. This is just from Kmart. It's a glass jar. It sits in our door, and the large tub sits in the back of the fridge. Just keeps it a little bit more cleaner and easier to maintain. And as you can see, a very simple, tidy fridge where I can see everything. I want to grab it. It looks really yum to eat.
So guys, that was super simple, super quick. Food prep is done for the week. We do a fortnightly grocery shop, so my fridge is very full, ready to go, but it means when it comes to the witching hour with my two little kids, I'm a little bit more organized, and my dinner planning, lunch and breakfast are ready to go. We'll talk soon. Bye.